I was 6 years old when this happened on Christmas Eve in 1972. I woke up sometime after midnight because I had to go to the bathroom. So I got out of bed and I wandered down the hall to the bathroom. I did my thing, and then I walked to the bathroom door. I paused there because I heard something in the hallway. We had cats, so that was my first thought, thinking I'd be able to startle one of them and make them jump. So I opened the door very slowly and quietly, intending to stomp on the floor and make the cat scramble. It was then that movement at the end of the hall caught my eye. I hadn't yet opened the door all the way, so I was able to just see into the living room. We kept the porch light on, so the room just at the front of the door was illuminated slightly. I could see the Christmas tree. The lights on the tree were off, and standing next to it was a figure. He was adult-sized, large, had big fluffy clothes on, and a Santa hat. I could tell he had a big beard by his outline. I couldn't see details or colour because the light was too faint. There was only just enough light to let me see silhouettes. He was bent over slightly and had his arm extended as if he were reaching for the door. And my first thought was, if he sees me, I won't get any presents. So my 6-year-old mind told me to run quickly to the bedroom, jump in bed and pretend I was asleep. Of course, the act of running to my bedroom would put me in full view of Santa, but did I mention that I was 6 at the time? The most bizarre part is that as I was running to my bedroom, I kept an eye on him, and just before I got to the door, he just vanished. I stopped, and I looked, and I even walked over and turned on the hall light, but there was nobody there. Christmas morning came, and we had all the normal presents under the tree. Every year, Santa would leave unwrapped gifts at the end of the hall for my brothers and I. I knew later, of course, that those were left by my parents to appear as presents from St. Nick. Some years later, I asked my mother if there was ever a time that I or my brothers got a present from St. Nick that they hadn't put there at the end of the hall. She said only once. When you were young, you got a knife, and we didn't buy that knife for you because we thought you were too young for one, but we let you keep it anyway. And then she asked me why. I just smiled at her and said, just wondering. Can you guess what year I got my first folding knife? I can. It's that year, the year he saw Santa Claus. Alright. Hello, and welcome to News from the Fringe. I still have to look at the title. I still keep wanting to say Strange Times. News from the Fringe. And here we are. It's Christmas time. Merry Christmas, if that's your thing. That was a Christmas story for you. Ghostly Santa. It would have been better if he, I don't know, had glowing red eyes and teeth and drool. That would have been a better story. Anyway, here we go. We got some good stories today. We have Yowie sighting in the Queensland Outback. A werewolf in London. How cool is that? We've got me old mate Uri Geller. He's back. We got mystery object over Stechford. Stechford. Have a guess where that is. Britain, perhaps? Bigfoot video surfaces on Instagram. And I think that's all I got. But yeah. Stay tuned. Because I'm going to start in a second. Alright, here we go. Yowie sighting in the Queensland Outback. Recently, 3 men reported seeing something strange and hairy while driving in rural Queensland. They had been making their way back home from work through the remote town of Jimna, where they saw what they described as a slouched-over figure underneath a streetlight. Initially believing it to be a boar or something similar, they were astonished when it stood up on 2 legs and bolted away in an ape-like manner. They said it had very long arms and an ape-like face. One of the group, Seamus Fitzgerald, later stated that the experience had left him unable to sleep. Quote, I've never really had a paranormal or strange experience like that before. I hardly slept that night, and the feeling was overwhelming that I had seen something that I never believed in previously." Close quote. Another of the trio, Sterling Slowcock, grow up, Bennett, admitted to being in utter disbelief over the sighting. The town itself, which has a population of just 91, is no stranger to such sightings either, with several of the locals having reported encounters with a mysterious ape-like creature. I think these guys might be British backpackers or something. Or not backpackers, but like on a work exchange or whatever. Because Seamus and Sterling, they're odd names. At least where I'm from. So this town is actually not far from me. I had to look it up. Jimna. I've heard of it, but I didn't know exactly where it was. It's not far away at all. It's like easily within a day trip. And it's actually close to another town. Let me just check something. I'll be right back. Yeah, I just had to check. There's another town nearby to Jimna called Kilcoy, which is famous for Yowie sightings as well. So that's just in a very small area, not far from me. So I might do a little bit of a road trip one day and bring my phone and get some photos and do a little video for you. Alright. Werewolf of London. 2 police officers claim they encountered a werewolf-like creature in Berkshire, England. According to author and former Berkshire policeman Brian Langston, PC Tom Walters and PC Lucy Palmer had been out on patrol in the early hours of one morning in November 2000 when the incident happened. The pair had been in their patrol car at Windsor Leisure Pool in Stovall Road when their headlights illuminated what they described as an enormous wolf-like beast. Quote, "It looked too big to be a dog and seemed irritated that we had disturbed it," said Palmer. "It had an odd gait and walked towards the river where it vanished." It was later discovered that a similar creature had also been sighted 10 years earlier by another police officer, PC Gail Emptage, who had been on late-night burglary patrol. While cycling along one side of the river, she had caught sight of what she initially assumed to be a large, shaggy dog, but she quickly realized it was actually some sort of large wolf. Quote, "It was so big that my first thought was it must be a St. Bernard, as it loped across the road just 20 feet ahead of me. It was clearly illuminated by the street lighting, and I could see that it had the appearance of a huge wolf. There was no doubt in my mind that it was solid and real." Close quote. She even described it as having an air of arrogance and almost human intelligence. She said that the eyes, quote, "glowed with an intense yellow-green luminosity and fixed their glare on me for several seconds. They were like 2 torch beams, nothing like any dog I had ever seen." Close quote. Alright, so moving along here. Uri Geller, best known as the Spoonbender, I would say he is a bent spoon, was interviewed recently in the Sun newspaper. He indicated that alien visitors have not only been watching us for years, but they are preparing to make contact with us. And of course Yuri would know this because he knows everything. So, he says, "I think they are studying us. I don't know what they really want, but I think they are preparing us for contact. For the Steven Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind type of scenario. And it's going to be spectacular," he says. Continuing, "They will probably land on the White House lawn or somewhere. Alright? All our science fiction films about alien encounters will come true. Well, we're f***ed then." As for when such an event might happen, however, Geller remains uncertain. Quote, "I don't think we are talking about thousands or even hundreds of years," he said. "If I had to guess, a rational and logical guess, I would say 60 to 75 years it's going to happen." Close quote. I should have just called this article, "Geller Makes a Random Guess." This guy, like I said, he's always just, to me, he seems like he's just interested in fame. he may have had some sort of legit psychic power, the spoon bending stuff back in the day, but he lost that power, I think, but he didn't lose his taste for celebrity. And I think that's what's going on here. He's got to be in the news. Okay, let's get on to the next one. Mystery object over Stechford.
Oh, what was that?
This short clip, filmed by Peter Benton, shows a strange bulbous craft in the sky over Stechford in England back in October. He claimed that he had been filming the moon when the object entered his field of view. Quote, "I like to film the moon during the day, even if it's a crescent. I tend to catch things more frequently this way, as is what occurred here in this clip. I lost track of it and quickly tried to get it back, but I lost it. It was moving from right to left. If you notice, it has a light at the front and 2 lights or afterburners at the back, and it also turns on its side." Close quote. I don't really have a lot to say about this one because the video is just a little bit too quick for me, so I can't really, I'm not the type to analyze videos, and this is just like a couple of seconds. But if you go and check out Peter's website, sorry, it's not his website, his YouTube channel, I've got the link in there. He seems like a pretty nice fella, and I've seen that he answers a lot of the questions in the comments, so if you've got any questions, speak to him on his channel. Bigfoot video surfaces on Instagram. This is the last one, I think. Cool. Reportedly filmed in woodland in the US state of Georgia. The video begins by showing a dark figure crouching down behind some trees and foliage a short distance away from the camera. After a few seconds, the creature stands up, revealing a tall bipedal ape form, as you can see. As is so often the case with videos of this nature, however, the clip itself is rather blurry, and there is little in the way of background information to explain the circumstances surrounding its capture on film. The general consensus seems to be that the film is a hoax. And you can see in the comments there by Legends Beware that, what does he say? "This video was submitted to my YouTube channel about 8 or 9 years ago. We pulled it, along with a couple of others, because there's already too many hoaxes out there. Our name is blurred out on the bottom right." And you can see there that, there is a name that's been blurred out down there on the bottom. I know this sort of video is easy to hoax, but after last week's Dogman photo, if you'll remember, this one is magnificent. And that's all I've got. Like I said, have a good Christmas. I've probably missed it. It's probably going to be late for most of you. I know it's going to be late for the Aussies and the Kiwis, but that happens. I've got some good videos lined up that I should start releasing early in the new year, maybe even the 1st. But we'll see how we go. I'm pretty happy with the way they're coming along, so I put a lot more effort than I do into these From the Fringe videos or the news ones. Yeah, I look forward to showing them to you next year, in a week. So, have good holidays, and I bid you farewell.